Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you get advice you can trust, from the latest real estate trends to the best mortgage rates, from curb appeal to home warranty. This is the show that will help you save and make the most money when it comes to buying or selling your most valuable asset. Now, here's your host, broker and founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty of Florida, Rick Kendrick.
Happy Sunday, everybody. Welcome to Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show. I'm Rick Kendrick, and today I got a special guest, an engineer in the studio here. This is going to be great. Now, I'm going to try to understand Chris here because he talks a lot of good stuff I'm not familiar with because I'm a salesman, but he's going to put it in layman terms for everybody because this is pretty interesting stuff that we need to talk about. But let me tell you a little bit about Chris. He is a local guy. He actually went to high school down in Parkland, right, Chris?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas.
Yeah. And then he stayed in Florida and went to Florida State. Florida State had a good football year, didn't they?
Yes. Unfortunate what happened to them at the end of the year, but go Noles. Always be a Nole for life.
There you go, buddy. His main things that he does, milestone inspections, reserves studies, forensic and structural engineering evaluation. That sounds interesting, doesn't it, Carrie?
It does. I can't wait to hear all about it.
That sounds pretty cool. Concrete restoration, and we see this a lot in Florida, especially on, buildings that are close to the water. We see a lot of that. And another big one is seawall restoration. So condo owners, condo members who are on the board, pay attention and listen to this because he's got some great information to tell you here. Chris, we know that with the advent of what happened that fatal day in June 24th, 2021, when the towers in Surfside fell, this changed everything. Is that right?
That's correct. Most people know about the story, but they don't really know exactly what happened. Yeah, Champlain Towers, just south of Sunny Isles Beach. It was only 40 years old when it collapsed. It was built in 1981. It was built right on the ocean. So that's the qualifications now for the safety inspection for Miami-Dade and Broward County is that you have to do it at 40 years. It's called the 40-year recertification. So basically looking at all the structural components in the building, the structural concrete, columns, slabs, beams. And this was right when they were due for it. You know?
So what happened then? The next year, DeSantis came across and he put a new bill together. What was it, SB 4D? What is that?
The SB 154, basically this is legislation for condos and associations. This is to make it as easy for them as possible and as less painful financially for them. So many people are complaining now, but basically it's for their own good. This is for the overall good of the community and the buildings, and for the unit owners themselves. They shouldn't think so much financially, but they should think about their own life safety when they're thinking about this legislation that's being passed.
So I agree with you totally. And when I sit down with buyers and they're looking at a potential condo that they're going to purchase, this is one of the things that I look at. And now the word that's coming up quite a bit when we're going through that process of them buying a place is that have they done the milestone inspections, right? I live in a condo. And in fact, we're the one that's been doing the milestone inspections on my community. You feel better about it because they're checking things out, making sure structurally everything is sound. But I know there's probably a little bit more to that, I'm sure, isn't there?
We have our whole team look at everything. We look at the roof. We look at the mechanical system. We look at absolutely everything that has to do with the life safety of the building. And if you think about that, we always look at the septic system, which is typically a lift station. That's some stuff that's overlooked. You look at the lift station, you look at the backflow preventer. These are items that typically aren't necessarily primary in the primary structural integrity reserve study, but needs to be addressed because, say, for instance, for a lift station, if a force main breaks or there's other issues, it could cause sewage backup in the lift station. It could cause the plumbing to, be all messed up, backing up into the units. So we look at not just the primary issues from a structural integrity reserve study, which of course is roof, primary structural systems, including load-bearing walls, fire protection systems, plumbing, electrical systems, waterproofing, exterior painting, exterior windows and doors, and any item that has a deferred maintenance expense or replacement cost that exceeds $10,000 and with failure to replace such item negatively affects the building.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that, that's not like a day event. I mean, you're probably on that property a long time looking at all these items here. And this is a massive, comprehensive report. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, but it usually goes to the board members of that condo association, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So basically the timetable is you have the notification from the jurisdiction telling you need to do a milestone inspection or reserve study. So they have 14 days to notify all the unit owners that one needs to be performed. And then once they're notified, they have 180 days to carry out the inspection. And then with the report, there's a summary that summarizes all the items in the inspection report plus the reserve study that is required to give to all the unit owners when it's completed by the engineer.
So they put it together. The board's got to vote on it, right? And then they got to look at the cost. And then what's the timetable on something like the bill just recently came out? Does it indicate some timetable that it's required everything to be completed and done?
Yes, absolutely. So for buildings that are 30 years of age, they need to have the inspection done by December 31st on the year that it turns 30 years old. And if it's a coastal property, before they had it in the legislation where it was 3 miles from the coastline, they deleted that. They basically say if you're in a coastal environment that's affected by the the sea air, the chloride items in the air that structurally deteriorates the concrete much quickly, that's 25 years. So they have to have their inspection report done December 31st on the year that the building turns 25 years old. And then for the structural integrity reserve study, which is different than a traditional reserve study as it focuses on the items I mentioned before, the roof, structural components, that right there has to be done regardless of the age of the building. Like a turnover report has to be provided to the residents showing the useful life of these items and the replacement cost of these items.
So I was looking at your credentials here, and then I was noticing you work with a lot of management companies. On top of that, I've seen some of the projects that you're doing. And when you look at some of these buildings that you've been inspecting, have you seen the situation where I'm glad they caught me right now and talked to me as opposed to waiting another year or two?
Oh, absolutely. There's one I'm doing right now in Pompano Beach, actually, and I did the whole inspection. There's slabs that are deteriorating. There's columns that are deteriorating. The building's just falling apart. And I gave them an inspection report and told them you need to get this done. Here's a proposal, do a phase 2 to actually do the repairs. And I haven't heard back in like 2 months. Going into Surfside a little bit, just very quickly talking about the whole issue with the management companies and the associations. If the association doesn't want to do anything, then it falls on them. This legislation is mainly to help push these associations to do the right thing and to care for their units, but if they don't and something happens, they're actually liable themselves, the association, as in the association for Surfside actually had to come up with $100 million out of the $1.12 billion settlement. So just think about it, $100 million, most paid by the insurance, but that had to be paid directly by the association of Surfside.
Wow.
Of Champlain Towers.
So after the break here, we're going to be getting a little bit more into what Chris is saying about the milestone inspections and other things. Listen, just to understand, we're out there every single day meeting with buyers and sellers. So if you're thinking about maybe making a move here and you wanted a free market evaluation, I'd be happy to come out and give you some tips on what to do and what not to do. But more importantly, sit down with you and kind of go over all those closing costs. This is Rick Kendrick, your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show. We'll be right back.
To schedule an appointment with Rick Kendrick to help you buy or sell your home, call 561-901-3333 or go to rickhasthebuyers.com. Rick will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on News Talk 850 WFTL.
You're trying to sell your house, it's not going so great? May I suggest you call Rick Kendrick? Hi, it's Jennifer. Great real estate agent, has over a decade's worth of experience. He's with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty of Florida. Listen to the name of the company, Your Home Sold Guaranteed. Rick Kendrick is so confident in his marketing system to get the right buyer for your home that he guarantees to sell your home at a price and a timeline that you all agree to, or he'll buy it for cash. Nobody else gives you that offer. Dick and Arlene, they lived in West Palm Beach in a country club, but Arlene always wanted to live near the beach. Can't blame her. Well, they found out about Rick through a neighbor who raved about how Rick's marketing system worked in selling his home. So they called Rick, and within 12 days, my friend presented them with an offer that they excitedly accepted because it was 98% of the asking price. Then Rick helped them find that perfect oceanfront condo in Jupiter. Dick and Arlene so thrilled, they've hired Rick again to help them purchase an investment property. If you need help selling your home, call Rick Kendrick, 561-901-3333, or visit rickhasthebuyers.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Rosemary, branch manager at Cross Country Mortgage in Boca Raton. If you're deciding which lender to trust, whether you're purchasing or refinancing, I would love the opportunity to work with you. Over my 20-year career, I've helped close to 10,000 families buy or refinance the place they call home. Despite what you're hearing about interest rates, you might be surprised at what we can do for you. Let's talk. Call or text me at 954-312-3104 or visit rosemarymortgageteam.com.
If you're ready to buy or sell your home and would like to schedule an appointment with Rick, call 561-901-3333 or go to rickhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show and your host, Rick Kendrick.
Welcome back. This is the segment where we're going to be continuing discussing with Chris the topic on how condos address safety of their buildings for residents and how to comply with the milestone inspections and reserve studies. Hey, Chris, I'm just curious. When you say reserve studies, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's traditional reserve studies, and then there's structural integrity reserve studies. So basically what I'm doing is combining them both. I have the first section, the structural integrity reserve study, the primary components I mentioned earlier in the show, which basically is roofing, structural systems, load-bearing walls, fire protection systems, plumbing, electrical systems, waterproofing, exterior painting, exterior windows and doors, and any item that has a deferred maintenance expense or replacement cost that exceeds $10,000 that adversely affects the building. Gotcha. Those are the items that basically are the primary structural components of the building. They hold the building together. I know we keep referring to Surfside, but in the report, they're saying the entire building was just flooded, as in the waterproofing was failing. And the waterproofing is such a critical component that people don't really realize that keeps the water out of the building. So once the water starts infiltrating, getting into all the concrete, getting into the reinforcement bar, it starts separating, starts delaminating, starts spalling. So when you look at that, the waterproofing is a very significant portion of these items.
So let's just say the condo building is 10 years old. They don't need this inspection, do they?
Typically, 10 years is the average, maybe a little longer, typically 8 years, but depending how well buildings are built, because the resources we use, say for instance with the SIRS, I use the Marshall Valuation Handbook, which is a pretty good handbook, and it has separating buildings. So you have good building, you have an excellent building, and you have fair building. So fair building is like, farmhouses, other buildings that people don't really live in, and you have good. Basically, most condos and associations and apartment complex, they are in the good category. And then you have excellent, which is like the Ritz-Carltons, the more advanced. You separate down into these, and then typically if the building's good or excellent, after 10 years, you don't really see much issue, but you want to get ahead of it. You don't want to wait till it's too late, and then it becomes a much more expensive and bigger issue.
First level, second level, how many floors? Is that a determination on your milestone inspections?
No, it's not. They separate it in Florida, a threshold building and a non-threshold building. A threshold building is any building 4 stories or taller, which when you're doing the actual restoration, you do the phase 2 milestone inspection, you get into the restoration, typically you need a threshold inspector or a special inspector. And then a 3-story building or lower, that's just more, it's not so much life safety because it's not as big, it's not as tall. So that's a separation. 4 stories or taller. And then one thing I wanted to clarify is that the engineer is actually qualified to perform these milestone inspections, phase 1 and phase 2, but only required to have a special inspector once the repairs are being made and to be inspected by a building 4 stories or taller.
So let's just say you do a milestone inspection. are you on this project till they get the restoration completed, or is it handed off to a contractor and you go on your way?
Well, once you contract an engineer to do the phase 1 inspection, you want to stick with him. You don't want an engineer to do a phase 1 inspection and then have a different engineer do the phase 2 inspection and do the restoration. It's better to stick with one person because they're knowledgeable. They've been there since the beginning. Like when I would go into the building to do an inspection, I would bring my whole team to look at all these components I mentioned previously.
How long does it take you to do a report?
Typically 2 weeks. Depending on the size of the building, I would typically be 1 to 2 days to actually do the full inspection with my team and approximately 2 weeks to do the report.
Yeah, when you were doing the milestone inspection at our community, you had guys going all around. And in fact, we have a harbor there, so you were looking at, the buildings, but also you were looking at the seawall. So like you said in the beginning, listeners, especially condo owners and people who are on the board, this is something that you got to understand. He's just going to give you the facts, man, and you got to listen to him because the safety is number one here. Right, Chris?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. No, it's funny you mentioned that inspection. Those were, it took me a little longer for that one considering it was 12 buildings plus the clubhouse. But I remember going with my buddy one day. We went to the, to the dock close by. We took a boat out there that jumped in the water, walked the seawall. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It was a fun day. The treasurer came out. He's like, "What are you guys doing?" He sees me in the water taking pictures and doing banging on my hammer. So that was a fun inspection. But we really want to get the nitty gritty inspection, as in we don't want to cut corners or we don't want to tell you something that's a lie. We don't want to tell you, hey, it's going to cost you, $100,000 to fix your building when it's really going to take $1 million just to get in the door. We want to tell you up front all the cost that we feel it's going to be and the actual condition of your building.
So I want to go back to the aspect of, complying. So you provide them the report, present that to the board there, the condo board, or the person that owns the apartment building. Now, are you saying it's up to them to go ahead and comply with that, or can they wait and not do anything?
They would have to comply, or they could be liable for $100 million. They get the report, and if there's a phase 1 stating that the building's structurally sound, no phase 2 is required, then it's done. You don't have to do anything else for 10 years.
Is it required by the state for you to turn this report into the state of Florida?
Yes, it was turned into the local jurisdictions. That's the reserve study and the milestone inspection plus the summary. So basically everything's submitted to the local jurisdiction, and it has to be because they have to be aware of the condition of the building and what's going on.
So the city actually, or the county or the state will come to the board and say, hey guys, listen, this work needs to be done right now.
Yes, absolutely. And they have 180 days from the receipt of the inspection report to get the repairs done or scheduled.
Yeah. Now, there was something that came up, I think it was 2025. All condos had to have some type of reserves intact, ready to go. Are you familiar with that?
Basically, they had to be fully funded. And then the difference now is before, condominiums basically voted to defer reserves so the condominium owners could pay less. And they were very happy with that.
Yeah, they would do special assessments each year, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was just, why do you want to do that? You want to go ahead and get the reserves intact. And also, just to let you know, a little side note, when a person is purchasing a condo and they're financing, quite frankly, if they don't have reserves, they won't be able to get financing. So this is really a blessing in disguise that you're getting full reserves on a condo. Anyway, that's pretty good information. This forensic and structural integrity evaluation kind of intrigues me. What's that mean?
The structural integrity reserve study is the whole breakdown of the cost. It tells you all the components that the useful life and the remaining life and then the cost for replacement. And we always factor in inflation per year because a replacement cost of an AC this year for, say, an outside air unit would be different this year than in 5 years. Or the cost of replacement of an elevator system or, the replace of backflow preventers is always going to go up. So that's the breakdown of all the components, the useful life, remaining life, and the overall cost for replacement or maintenance.
Yeah. So, Chris, in our final minutes here, what do you think you would like to, is there any final things you'd like to kind of throw out there that everybody needs to know?
when you get the notification from the city, I want you to know that it's there to help you, to give you, hey, your building needs this to help your residents. You want to be safe. You want to be secure in where you live. You don't want to wait till something happens. You want to attack it now. You want to get the funds together now. The whole issue is that, as I mentioned about the deferring reserves, you have people that don't put reserves for, let's say, 10 years, they keep deferring it. So basically now they have to come up with 10 years worth of reserves in 1 to 2 years. So now with the new legislation, it's more of a pay now. And we're not trying to scare anybody. We're just telling the facts that, hey, look, you didn't pay into the reserves for so many years. You're pretty much catching up to be fully funded, or say catching up to where you guys need to be safe and to take care of your building. I hear this all the time. I'm on a fixed income. I can't afford this. I can't do this because I don't have the money. So the hard truth is that, you have to really look at your situation and determine, can I afford to live here? Do I need to, get somewhere more where I can afford to sell my unit because I can't afford these repairs? It's basically as simple as that. If you can't afford to, if you have a car, you can't afford to maintain it, sure, maybe sell it and get something, more within your budget. So basically that's where I'm at. We want to make this as easy as possible. And we want you to know that this basically is for your own safety and your own good. And just know one thing, if you get this done, you do these repairs, you do this the right way, your property value will go up and you'll be safer. So if you want to do it the right way, give us a call. We'll walk you through it. And we want to not just throw a report at you. We always provide a follow-up inspection and a follow-up meeting to walk you through what we did and our process and our backup, and telling you, hey, this is how we did your report. Walk you through this to move forward.
That sounds great. Really good. Okay, so after the break, let's talk a little bit about our featured listing of the week. In fact, I have a couple of them for you, and then we're going to get some final comments from Chris from Smite Engineering. This is Rick Kendrick, your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show. We'll be right back.
To schedule an appointment with Rick Kendrick to help you buy or sell your home, call 561-901-3333 or go to rickhasthebuyers.com. Rick will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on News Talk 850 WFTL.
So you're thinking about selling your home? This is why I tell you need to talk to my friend, Rick Kendrick, from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty of Florida. Now, not only can he get you cash offers, but he can get you 3 cash offers.
So, Jennifer, what we were doing before was offering a traditional offer. We were putting it on the market. It would stay on the market for 30 or 60 days. Now we can offer you an immediate cash offer. In fact, we can offer you at least 3 cash offers today in 3 weeks. We want to give certainty to every seller out there. If they're serious about selling, we can get you out of that house in 3 to 4 weeks. We can do a traditional route, or we can get you cash. You throw us the keys and you're out the door. Or if you need to stay in that house, we'll give you cash in 3 weeks and you can stay there and lease it back from us. Or the ultimate is you do a cash offer and then we put it back up on the market to see if you can get more money for it. We're looking for certainty, convenience, and an opportunity to make the most amount of money for your house.
561-901-3333 or visit rickhasthebuyers.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Rosemary, branch manager at Cross Country Mortgage in Boca Raton. If you're deciding which lender to trust, whether you're purchasing or refinancing, I would love the opportunity to work with you. Over my 20-year career, I've helped close to 10,000 families buy or refinance the place they call home. Despite what you're hearing about interest rates, you might be surprised at what we can do for you. Let's talk. Call or text me at 954-312-3104 or visit rosemarymortgageteam.com.
If you're ready to buy or sell your home and would like to schedule an appointment with Rick, call 561-901-3333 or go to rickhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show and your host, Rick Kendrick.
Welcome back, everybody, to our final segment. Hey, listen, I want to talk about our 2 great listings that have just popped up here. Actually, these are not even on the market yet. Attention buyers, this is your opportunity to take advantage of it. We have one in Journey's Inn. This thing is 4,200 square feet with a pool, corner lot, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, a pool with a jacuzzi, got a little cabana area on the side, 3-car garage. It even has a gym. This thing is a jewel. for you. This price is $975, and Journey's End is a great opportunity for you. Listen, what you got to do is, if you're interested in it, just let me know. The other one I have is located in Stamford in Royal Palm Beach. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. It is a great opportunity for you, priced at $299. Both of these are not even on the market yet. If you're really seriously thinking about maybe making a move here, buyers, give me a call at 561-901-3333. We'll sit down, kind of go over, and if these meet your criteria, we'll go out there and take a look at it. So, Chris, thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate it. Got any final comments?
Yes, one final comment I have is that if you're a property manager, or if you're on the board, or if you're another engineer specializing in these type of projects, I would go ahead and look into the Community Association Institute. I'm a Gold Coast chapter member, and I'm a very active member. There's actually 1.2 million condos in Florida that need to get this done by this year, and a lot of them haven't even started yet. We're on the same team. Let's work on getting this done together and effectively, and work on basically creating a world where we can create a safe environment. And this Community Association Institute is imperative to condominiums and associations and board members, because it provides guidelines of how these condominiums should be run. And we also work together with Florida legislation for the laws, because they confer with the primary board members for the laws. The laws actually go through the CAI to make sure that we're all on the same page, and the legislation that comes out makes sense, and it's helpful and resourceful to condominium unit owners, associations, and their property management companies.
That is like great information right there. That it could help people out a lot. So, Chris, how do we get in touch with you, buddy?
Yes, go ahead and go to my website, Smythe Engineering. It's Smith, but with the Y, SMYTH. Come reach out to me. At least we'll take a look at your property, walk you through the process, be informative. The main item is that we want to educate you. We want to educate you, mainly the association and your unit owners, to let you know we're doing this for your own good and to keep you safe.
Yeah, I tell you, this gentleman right here knows his stuff, okay? Listen, you can get a hold of Chris. You can get him at www.smytheengineering.com or 772-771-3176. Hey, thank you for taking time listening to me today. This is Rick Kendrick, your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, serving the Southeast Florida coast. Our network extends across Canada and the United States. You can give me a call or text me at 561-901-3333. I'd like to again thank Chris for coming on today, and we look forward to seeing everybody. Tune in next week every Sunday at 8:50 WFTL News Talk Radio.
Thanks again.
You've been listening to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show with broker-owner Rick Kendrick. Heard every Sunday morning here on News Talk 850 WFTL. Rick's company name is his promise, Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. To speak directly to Rick about buying or selling your home, call now to schedule an appointment, 561-901-3333, or visit rickhasthebuyers.com. And mark your calendar to join Rick again next week at this same time for the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on News Talk 850 WFTL.